Welcome to our series on North American bumblebees, where we delve into the fascinating world of 6 of these industrious pollinators. Throughout this 7-part journey, we'll explore their ecological significance, life cycle, habitat needs, and the challenges they face. From their vital role in pollination to the threats posed by habitat loss and pesticides, we'll uncover the secrets of these gentle giants and discover how each of us can play a crucial role in safeguarding their future. So, join us as we embark on this adventure to learn, appreciate, and protect these essential creatures that contribute so much to the health of our planet. The rusty-patched bumblebee, a tale of decline and urgent conservation. Once a common sight buzzing around the woodlands and grasslands of the northeastern United States and parts of Canada, the rusty-patched bumblebee, scientifically known as Bombus affini, has been facing a troubling decline in recent years. This decline in relative abundance, persistence, and distribution across its range has raised serious concerns among researchers and conservationists. Historically, the rusty-patched bumblebee was widely distributed in the upper Midwest and eastern North America, making its home in the eastern temperate and boreal forest regions. From southern Quebec and Ontario to the Appalachian Mountains, and even as far west as eastern North Dakota, this bee was a familiar face in the ecosystem. However, in recent times, this once thriving species has seen a severe decline, especially in the northeastern United States. Nowadays, sightings are few and far between, and recent records mainly come from the Midwest and southern Ontario. It's not just anecdotal evidence. Numerous studies have confirmed this decline, both regionally and range-wide. The statistics paint a bleak picture. A range-wide study found that the historic range of Bombus affini has contracted by a staggering 87%, with its relative abundance declining by a whopping 95%. Such alarming figures have prompted listing this species as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. This species is currently listed as endangered in Canada, and has been petitioned for endangered species listing in the United States. The reasons behind this decline are manifold. One significant threat is the spillover of pathogens from commercial bumblebees to their wild counterparts. A parasite called Nosema bombi has been particularly harmful to several North American bumblebee species, including Bombus affini. Loss and degradation of their natural habitat due to agriculture, urban development, and pesticide use are also significant contributors to the decline. Moreover, climate change is wreaking havoc on their delicate ecosystem, leading to changes in the availability of resources and nesting sites. As a social insect, the rusty-patched bumblebee lives in colonies composed of a queen, workers, and reproductives. However, only the queen will winter over. Although little is known about the overwintering habits of Bombus affini, queens of other species frequently dig a few centimeters into soft, disturbed soil and form an oval-shaped chamber in which she will spend the duration of the winter. Compost in gardens or molehills may provide suitable sites for queens to overwinter. The queens emerge from hibernation in early spring and start foraging and searching for a nest site. Bombus affini is one of the earliest species to emerge in North America, with queens typically emerging from hibernation as early as March or April. Their colonies can be quite large, with up to 1,000 workers produced throughout the season. To sustain their colonies, Bombus affini requires a constant supply of flowers blooming from April to September, providing nectar for carbohydrates and pollen for essential protein. As a short-tongued species, they prefer open flowers with short corollas. The urgency of conserving this species is undeniable. To better understand the reasons behind their decline and plan effective conservation efforts, comprehensive surveys are needed throughout their range. These efforts should include protecting known and potential habitats from pesticides, habitat alteration, and other threats. Conservation initiatives for Bombus affini would also likely benefit other endangered species, like B. bohemicus, which is a social parasite of Bombus affini, and B. terricola. The rusty-patched bumblebee's fate hangs in the balance, but with concerted conservation efforts, we can hope to preserve this vital pollinator and ensure the health of the ecosystems it calls home. Meet the sneaky cuckoo bumblebee Bombus bohemicus. Today, we're delving into the intriguing world of the Ashton's cuckoo bumblebee, also known as Bombus bohemicus. Picture this: a bee with a cunning strategy for survival that involves taking over someone else's home. If you're thinking of some wild TV show, well, this is the real deal in the bumblebee kingdom. Ashton's cuckoo bumblebee is one clever insect, but its fortunes are a bit of a roller coaster ride depending on where you find it. In Europe, it's living the good life, being common and abundant across most of its range. However, the situation is not as rosy across the pond in North America. Over the past decade, their population has suffered a staggering more than 80% decline, and their extent of occurrence has dropped by a whopping 96.28%. The North American decline is bad news for this cunning bee, and scientists suspect it's all linked to its sneaky lifestyle. You see, these bees don't build their own nests or collect pollen. Oh no, they're too cool for that. Instead, they're freeloaders who take over the nests of other bumblebee species. So how do they pull off this grand heist? Well, it starts with a daring female bee, Bohemicus, marching into a host bumblebee's nest. She means business and takes down the queen of that colony, effectively enslaving the workers to feed her young ones. All her offspring grow up to be royal too, no worker bees here. After their royal upbringing, they go out to find mates and live happily ever after. Sort of. This wicked plan works like a charm when there are plenty of host bumblebees around. But with the decline in the availability of hosts like Bombus terricola and Bombus affini, our cunning friend finds itself in a pickle. The decline of both B. bohemicus and its hosts has caught the attention of conservationists. In North America, this bee is facing a dire situation, and scientists believe it should be classified as critically endangered on the IUCN Red List. Europe, on the other hand, seems to be doing its part to keep the species going strong. Climate change, habitat loss, and pesticides are some of the culprits responsible for this mess. You know how it goes. When nature's balance is disrupted, everyone suffers, even the tricky cuckoo bumblebees. Natural wildfires and prescribed burning can create a playground of delicious flowers for bees to feast on. But when fires are suppressed or burned too intensely, the bees lose their favorite foraging spots. So, what's next for Ashton's cuckoo bumblebee? Conservation efforts are buzzing about. Protecting their host species is crucial, as they rely on them for survival. If we protect and manage the homes of Bombus affini and Bombus terricola, our cunning cuckoo bumblebee might stand a fighting chance. Targeted surveys are also needed to find their hiding spots and protect them from harm. Introducing the yellow-banded bumblebee, Bombus terricola. Today, we're looking into the colorful world of the yellow-banded bumblebee, a real busy bee that's been buzzing around North America for ages. But it seems like our little striped friend is facing some tough times lately. So, let's get to know this cute critter a bit better, shall we? Bombus terricola is a true North American native, strutting its stuff across the continent. From Newfoundland to the Appalachian Mountains, and all the way to the Canadian Great Plains and British Columbia. It enjoys a wide variety of habitats, including woodlands, farmlands, urban areas, meadows, grasslands, and wetlands. Examples of food plants for the yellow-banded bumblebee include crocus, eupatorium, linaria, and melillotus. According to the experts, our yellow-banded bumblebee has taken quite a hit in recent years. Over 30% of its range and persistence has declined across its entire territory. And get this, its relative abundance has nosedived by over 80%. That's a big blow for a little bee. Scientists have been busy crunching the numbers, and their calculations point to a concerning trend. It's not just a temporary hiccup. The decline is significant and long-term. Currently, the yellow-banded bumblebee is classified as vulnerable on the IUCN's Red List, but may be on its way to endangered in the future. Okay, so what's causing this decline? Habitat loss is a biggie thanks to things like agricultural expansion. There are also some nasty pathogens spreading around, particularly Nosema bombi, believed to have been spread from commercial greenhouse bumblebee pollinators. And let's not forget about the pesticides, especially a relatively new class known as neonicotinoids. They're no friends of the bumblebees. As if that wasn't enough, climate change is throwing its weight around too. The yellow-banded bumblebee is picky about its climate, and any sudden changes can mess up its busy schedule, including the availability, quantity, and quality of floral resources. Okay, we've got the problem, but what's the solution? We've got to protect these little pollinators. Let's make sure they have safe spaces to call home, away from harmful pesticides and nasty pathogens. Making sure they've got safe spaces to build their nests and find yummy nectar and pollen. And maybe we can convince those greenhouse bees to keep their germs to themselves. Unraveling the mystery of Franklin's bumblebee, a race against time for conservation. Today we'll be buzzing about a bumblebee that's become quite the elusive character, Franklin's bumblebee, or Bombus franklini. Now you may have heard of this special bee before, but sightings of it have become quite the rarity. Found exclusively in the USA, in a region stretching from southern Oregon to northern California between the coast and Sierra Cascade ranges, this bee has a pretty limited stomping ground, covering around 190 miles north to south and 70 miles east to west. But here's where the story gets concerning. Our beloved Bombus franklini has been experiencing a rather dramatic decline in population. Since 1998, the populations have been drastically decreasing, with no individuals sighted at all in 2004, and only one individual was spotted in 2006. That's no good for a species that used to be buzzing about in quite a few places. Surveys of historic and potential sites have been shedding some light on the issue. Initially, there were signs of hope with bees spotted at 7 new sites between 1998 and 2000. However, as time went on, the numbers dwindled, and it became evident that their population is decreasing severely. The culprit here is a combination of factors, and they're quite the troublemakers. For starters, the use of commercial bumblebee colonies in greenhouses has brought about the introduction of exotic diseases to the native bee populations. These pathogens, like Nosema bombii and Locustacarius buchneri, are causing chaos among the bumblebees. Habitat destruction and agricultural intensification have also played their part in the decline of Franklin's bumblebee. Urban development and pesticide use have led to the loss and degradation of their natural homes, making life more challenging for these little buzzers. The situation has become so dire that this bumblebee is in desperate need of some legal protection, which it currently lacks. Although the species has been listed as critically endangered by the IUCN, there are no official conservation measures in place for our Franklin's bumblebee. To help this species recover, we need to delve deeper into their lives. More research is crucial to understanding their behaviors, biology, and the exact size of the remaining population. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it's the power to save a species. Protecting the habitat of Bombus franklini should be a top priority. They need plenty of flowers like Lupinus, Eschscholzia, Agastache, and Monardella to feed on nectar and pollen. Franklin's bumblebee may be small, but it plays a crucial role in our ecosystem. It's a pollinator powerhouse that we can't afford to lose. Buzzing into the heartlands, the plight of the American bumblebee. Enter the American bumblebee, scientifically known as Bombus pennsylvanicus, a once bustling bumblebee that spanned vast territories across the eastern temperate forest and Great Plains regions throughout the eastern and central United States and southern Canada. Its range even extended into parts of Mexico, showcasing the impressive reach of this essential pollinator. However, the cheerful buzz of the American bumblebee has been stifled by alarming declines in both abundance and range. Studies from various regions paint a concerning picture, indicating that this once thriving species has suffered significant population collapses, especially in the northern parts of its range. A survey examining bumblebee community changes in Illinois found that Bombus pennsylvanicus, once comprising a substantial over 28% of all bumblebees in the area between 1900 and 1949, now represents a mere 4.4% of the relative abundance in collections from 1950 to 2007. New York State experienced a similar disappointment, with a historical commonality of the species in the Black Rock Forest that had vanished by the early 1990s. And the trend continues, with declines observed in other regions like Guelph, Ontario, where the American bumblebee has vanished from recent surveys. Even more troubling, extensive long-term studies examining historical changes in bee populations across the northeastern United States found that Bombus pennsylvanicus, alongside two other Bombus species, has experienced rapid and recent population collapses across its northeastern U.S. range. Across the continent, comparisons between historical and current distributions of bumblebee species have revealed alarming declines, with this once vibrant bee suffering a 23% range reduction in recent times. This all adds up to Bombus pennsylvanicus being estimated to have an average decline value of over 51% throughout the past decade, based on relative abundance, persistence, and range decline. It has been listed by the IUCN as vulnerable. Pathogens seem to play a critical role in the American bumblebee's decline. Reports of increased Nosema bombii infections and reduced genetic diversity in declining populations raise concerns about its long-term survival. Agricultural intensification, habitat loss, and the use of harmful pesticides further compound the species' struggle. Despite its challenges, the American bumblebee endures in parts of its southern Midwest and southern U.S. strongholds, particularly in Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Alabama. Nonetheless, these regions also show signs of declines. Conservationists recognize the importance of preserving the American bumblebee's habitat and reducing pesticide use. Efforts to protect and restore natural grassland habitats, along with eradicating pathogens where possible, hold the potential to benefit this vital pollinator. Conservation actions that benefit Bombus pennsylvanicus will also extend to its social parasite, Bombus variabilis, which has also experienced dramatic population declines. Though the American bumblebee's decline is heart-wrenching, there is hope. By raising awareness and implementing targeted conservation efforts, we can work together to ensure the survival of this humble yet indispensable pollinator. Their future depends on the collective action of individuals, communities, and policymakers to create a world where these bumblebees can thrive once again, buzzing tirelessly across the heartlands. The resilience of the crotch bumblebee in the Golden State. In the vast landscapes of California, a remarkable creature takes flight. The crotch bumblebee, scientifically known as Bombus crotchi, once abundant across the Mediterranean region, Pacific Coast, Western Desert, Great Valley, and adjacent foothills of southwestern California, this species has been a vital pollinator in the Golden State. It has also been documented in southwest Nevada, near the California border, and even graces the land of Baja California, Mexico. Although records from Mexico are scarce and require further investigation. While the crotch bumblebee's historical range extended to Arizona and Utah, these records are considered questionable and likely misidentifications. Instead, its stronghold remains in the diverse habitats of California, where it thrives in open grasslands and scrublands. Underground nests serve as their homes, while males perch and chase objects in search of mates. But alas, the crotch bumblebee faces its challenges. Alarming analyses indicate sharp declines in both relative abundance and persistence over the past decade. This once common species, historically flourishing in California's Central Valley, has now disappeared from most of its former territory, particularly the center of its range. It's currently listed as engaged by the IUCN. Conservationists raise concerns about the impact of agricultural intensification in the northern Central Valley and rapid urbanization in the southern Central Valley, potentially disrupting the habitat this bee once relied upon. Climate change, too, threatens this delicate species, given its narrow climatic specialization. Despite the grim statistics, hope lingers. The crotch bumblebee clings to existence, detected in agricultural landscapes of certain counties in the northern parts of its range. Conservation practices that restore, create, and preserve natural habitats, coupled with responsible pesticide use and farming practices, can offer a lifeline to these precious pollinators. General research and monitoring efforts are vital to better understand the distribution and abundance of the crotch bumblebee across its historic range. By dedicating efforts to collect valuable data and safeguarding the habitats they depend on, we can work toward ensuring a brighter future for this remarkable species. In the enchanting landscapes of California, the crotch bumblebee hums its song, a symbol of resilience and a testament to the wonders of the natural world. As we strive to protect these essential pollinators and their habitats, we sow the seeds of hope for generations to come, ensuring the continued buzzing of life across the Golden State and beyond. Making a difference for bumblebees. 4 simple steps to save our pollinators. Pollinator conservation is a monumental task, but it begins with each of us taking action. No matter where we reside, whether in the bustling city or the quiet countryside, we can make a difference by taking 4 simple yet impactful steps. 1. Grow pollinator-friendly flowers. Flowers are the lifeblood of pollinators, providing them with the nectar and pollen they need to survive. By choosing the right native plants, shrubs, and trees with overlapping bloom times, we can support pollinators throughout the early spring and fall. Embrace the diversity. Whether it's a vast meadow or a cozy backyard garden, every landscape has the potential to become a sanctuary for pollinators. 2. Provide nest sites. Supporting pollinators means taking care of them throughout their entire life cycle. It's not just about nectar and pollen. We need to provide suitable nesting habitats as well. For ground nesting bees, consider leaving patches of brush piles and, where possible, leave leaf litter in gardens and allow it to build up over time. Incorporating bunch-forming ornamental grasses can also make a difference. For cavity nesting bees, preserve dead wood or snags. Bumblebees in particular seek shelter in cavities underground, such as abandoned rodent holes or in trees, so protecting these spaces is essential. Altering tilling practices will limit the potential of harming bees. 3. The risks of pesticides to pollinators. While pesticides serve their purpose in combating pests and diseases, they can inadvertently harm our pollinators. Direct contact with sprayed residues on plants, ingestion of contaminated pollen and nectar, or exposure to contaminated nesting sites can spell disaster for these vital insects. By reducing pesticide use and employing ecological pest management techniques, we can protect both pollinators and beneficial insects. 4. Spread the word. One of the most powerful tools we have is knowledge, and we must share it far and wide. Share the importance of pollinator conservation with friends, family, and neighbors. Encourage others to join the mission of supporting these industrious creatures that play a critical role in our ecosystem. ecosystems. By working together, we can create a network of pollinator-friendly habitats that spans communities and benefits these essential beings, ensuring a future where bumblebees can thrive. Pollinator conservation is a collective endeavor that knows no boundaries. Each small action we take can create a ripple effect, fostering a brighter future for bumblebees and all pollinators. Let's sow the seeds of change in our gardens, parks, and farms, ensuring the harmonious coexistence of humans and pollinators in the tapestry of life. Together, we can safeguard these irreplaceable creatures and ensure the continued thriving of our natural world for generations to come.